Hello everyone, welcome to Minghui Radio, bringing you podcasts of stories relating to the persecution of Falun Gong in China, insights and experiences gained by practitioners during the course of their cultivation, special items of interest, and music composed and performed by DAFA practitioners.
The following is an experience-sharing article entitled Compassion Lights Up the Detention Center by a Falun Dafa practitioner in China. The article was published on the Minghui website on May 25, 2023. I was put in the local detention center in the spring of 2014 because I refused to renounce Falun Dafa. In the following 2 years, I carried myself in accordance with the principles of Dafa's teachings, truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. My cellmates saw and felt the goodness in me. Their hearts lit up with hope, despite the dire situation they were in. Part 1. Following the teachings of Dafa. The first day I arrived at cell 209 in the detention center, I saw the guards getting 3 of my cellmates ready to go to prison. Knowing that I wouldn't see them again, I clarified the facts of Falun Dafa to them. One of them yelled at me and threatened to report me. She was so loud that everyone in the cell looked at me with a baffled expression. I realized that most of them did not know much about Dafa, and I had a lot to do. Before I was taken to the detention center, a guard had warned the head of the cell to prevent other detainees from talking to me. I decided to let my actions speak for themselves. When people get to know me, they will naturally understand what Dafa is all about. The detention center served 2 meals a day, and each meal included nothing but bread made of feed corn and a bucket of clear soup. Because of the very little vegetable in the soup, most detainees tried to get there early in the line to scoop up as much vegetable as possible. I always stood at the end of the line and just ate whatever was left. Over 20 detainees in the cell shared one bathroom, which was cleaned once in the mornings. By the evening, the bathroom became filthy. I decided to clean the bathroom every time I went in to use it. After a while, the detainees said, "The bathroom becomes clean after the Falun Gong practitioner uses it." I tried my best to treat everyone around me with kindness. A month later, a detainee said, "People who came here would pretend to be nice for a few days, at most a week, but the Falun Gong sister is truly kind." They slowly accepted me and started to listen to me. Part 2. Drug dealer quits addiction. A suspected drug dealer, Fang, was placed next to me when she was admitted. As she began a rehabilitation program, she suffered tremendous discomfort and often fainted next to me. Our bed was just a piece of wood on the top of the cold concrete floor. I always put my clothes on her each time she fell asleep. Fang turned to food to replace her desire for drugs, and I shared my snacks with her. She grew close to me. I told her the Dafa's teachings about quitting smoking and alcohol. Master said in Lecture 7 from Zhuan Falun, quote, "Smoking does not do the human body any good," unquote. Master also said, quote, "It harms your body and is a desire as well," unquote. I told Fang that if she could sincerely recite, "Falun Dafa is good, truthfulness, compassion, forbearance is good," her pain and symptoms would lessen. She listened to me and recited the 9 words every day. She successfully quit the addiction and her health improved. The guard made her the head of the cell later. She paid me respect and called me auntie, while she called others my age sister. She said, "In this dire environment, I have someone who takes care of me like my mother." She put covers on me when I slept, and worried about me being cold or hungry. She'd save her food for me, and the most important thing is, she helped me understand the facts of Falun Dafa, and I was able to quit the drug addiction. After she became the head of the cell, she asked every cellmate to recite the 9 words. The atmosphere in the cell improved because Falun Dafa changed everyone. Part 3. Woman with intellectual disability memorizes the Fa. Shuang was a 25-year-old woman with an intellectual disability who accidentally killed her husband. She was obese, filthy, and unkempt. She wore ragged clothes and smelled bad. No one wanted to be placed next to her, and hence the guard put her next to me. Not only did she have bad personal hygiene, she also had a terrible temper. She picked fights with almost everyone in the cell, including an elderly woman. A guard told me, "Everyone said that you are a good person, and I know that you are truly a good person. Please help me deal with Shuang." I guided Shuang with the Dafa's principles. I told her stories of practitioners being tolerant, explaining to her how to treat others with kindness and how to interact with others. She was scared that she'd get the death penalty because she killed someone. I told her that she'd be blessed if she sincerely believed that Falun Dafa is good. However, I also told her that she must face the consequences of what she did and be brave even when facing prison time. She wanted me to recite Dafa's teachings for her. When I told her that she might not understand what I said, she was sure that she would. I recited the Fa from the 20th anniversary Fa teaching and Hongyin 3. She listened quietly, and nothing else could catch her interest. I asked her how she felt when listening to the Fa. She said, "Very comfortable, and the pain went away. I felt calm and did not want to pick fights with anyone." I then said to her, "From now on, I will teach you to memorize the Fa. When you have the Fa memorized, you can recite it wherever you go, even prison." Gradually, she could recite tempering one's heart and will, being a human and enlightened being from Hongyin, as well as some poems from Hongyin 3. For an intellectually disabled person to fluently recite so many poems, I witnessed Falun Dafa's extraordinary power. As Shuang started to memorize the Fa, so did other cellmates. Many of them were eager to memorize tempering one's heart and will and being human from Hongyin, and through the gut and lacking all restraint from Hongyin 3. Many of them wanted me to write down the poems on a piece of paper so that they could memorize it while they worked. Shuang's parents-in-law and villagers signed a statement to forgive her, and the court only sentenced her to 15 years in prison. She regretted what she did and felt sorry for her elderly in-laws and young child. The day Shuang was transferred to the provincial prison, I took out a bag of instant noodles and made her a simple meal to say farewell. She hugged me and cried, calling me mother. Part 4. Setting off firecrackers to celebrate my release. A skinny woman, Yu, was transferred to my cell one night. She took an 8 million yuan bribery at work and was charged with fraud. She was getting life in prison and lost all hope to live. The cellmates made fun of her. "You don't need to get retirement insurance because you will spend the remaining years of your life in prison." Yu soon suffered depression. She could not sleep, eat, or talk to others. The guard placed her next to me most of the time. I explained to her the teachings about loss and gain, how jealousy hurts people, and how good was rewarded and evil punished. I encouraged her to cherish life, as there was always hope. After knowing the facts of Falun Dafa, Yu started to memorize the poems in Hongyan 3. She was able to fall asleep and gained some weight. She started to converse with others and was no longer depressed. Yu cherished the time with me. She often sat quietly next to me when I sent righteous thoughts, or listened to me when I recited the Fa. She said, if I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life in prison, I'd practice Falun Dafa and walk the same path as you do. Yu wrote her son a letter and told him, I met an auntie here. She treated me with kindness and helped me through the hardest time. She does not have children of her own, and you will treat her the way you do me in the future. The auntie will soon be released, and you must come to pick her up with a car and wait for her in front of the detention center. The morning I was scheduled to be released, before I left the cell, I heard the sound of firecrackers. You told me, my son is here to pick you up. He set off the firecrackers to celebrate. When I left the detention center, a young man came towards me. He drove a white car to pick me up. Part 5. The failed attempt to take me to prison. After I was sentenced to 2 years, the guards in the detention center were getting ready to take me to prison. But they failed in all 3 attempts. The first time, the car broke down, and the second time, snow blocked the streets. A few days later, the guard took a phone call after he had a detainee put shackles on me. I didn't know what he was told, but after he hung up the call, he ordered the detainee to take off the shackles and take me back to cell 209. The entire cell cheered after my cellmates saw me return there. They surrounded me and shouted, Falun Dafa is good. The next day, a guard saw me and said, we don't want to keep you here, but God does. Part 6. Conclusion. The 2 years I was in the detention center, through clarifying the truth, most people there understood the facts and quit the Chinese Communist Party and its affiliated organizations. People who stayed there longer got to know more about Dafa. Some of them said that they'd definitely find a practitioner to learn Falun Dafa after they were released. I believed that Falun Dafa had taken root in their hearts. In the 2 years, Master protected and encouraged me every moment. On this sacred day, World Falun Dafa Day, I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude to Master for his kind salvation.
The following is an experience-sharing article entitled Master's New Lecture Helped Me Identify and Eliminate My Attachments by a Falun Dafa practitioner in France. The article was published on the Minghui website on May 7, 2023. When Master's new lecture, How Humankind Came to Be, was first published on the Minghui website, I was shocked that it was addressed to mankind, and my heart was filled with joy. I read the lecture with other practitioners, and we exchanged understandings. But when I learned that Master's new lecture would be available to the public, I thought, this is not possible. How can this be? I calmed down and asked myself why I had these thoughts. I told myself that it was time to look inward. There were several reasons why I did not wish for this article to be made known to the public. Would people who do not practice understand Master's lectures? What would they think of Falun Dafa and practitioners? My initial reaction was that I only wanted practitioners to read Master's lectures. My attachments to comfort and selfishness surfaced. I felt that practitioners were superior, and thus I did not want Master's lectures to be made known to the public. I felt that a non-practitioner was unable to comprehend this extraordinary message. My concerns were slowly relinquished after I began to identify my attachments. Part 1. Eliminating my attachment to fear and anger, and experiencing the wonders of looking inward. Many tribulations and tests occurred in both my ordinary work and DAFA projects during this time. Through these, Master gave me hints several times to look inward, let go of my attachments, and make a breakthrough in my cultivation. I knew I needed to face my attachment to fear, an attachment that I'd avoided facing for a long time. Master said in Eliminate Your Last Attachments from the Essentials of Diligent Progress 2, quote, "If a cultivator can let go of the thought of life and death under any circumstance, evil is sure to be afraid of him. If every student is able to do that, the evil will of itself no longer exist. All of you are aware of the principle of mutual generation and mutual inhibition. If you have no fear, the factor that would make you afraid will cease to exist." Unquote. I felt a surge like an electrical current or an earthquake whenever my attachment to fear surfaced. Fear twisted and turned in my heart and abdomen, and then filled my mind. I was powerless to resist it and knew that it was time to completely eliminate it. I decided to eliminate this negative thing that was trying to control me and prevent me from doing the three things. I started to send righteous thoughts, but this substance appeared to be a huge mass, like a ball, stuck in my throat and heart. I was unable to disintegrate it and experienced excruciating pain while sending righteous thoughts. I felt as if my heart was about to be ripped out. I was determined to eliminate this substance, but felt like I did not have enough strength to do it. At the same time, I saw another layer of substance enveloping the attachment of fear. It was anger. I was struck by another electric current as soon as I found my second attachment. It felt like a substance wanting to yell out from my throat. It was like a pack of wolves devouring everything around them, or like an uncontrollable fire. It was an evil force trying to hinder me on the path of cultivation. I began sending righteous thoughts directed at my anger. I saw some octopus-looking like objects slowly backing up. I finally understood how to eliminate these attachments. I came to understand that in order to eliminate the attachment of fear, I needed to first eliminate anger. I became more determined to send righteous thoughts. Thinking back to when I first started cultivation, I saw myself throwing petroleum bombs at the negative forces. I was like a courageous knight. However, I still lacked a heart of compassion since I was a fairly new practitioner. Part 2. Looking further inward and assimilating to DAFA. Master enlightened me another time when I had a toothache. The dentist said that my wisdom tooth and the gums around it were infected. The doctor said it was seriously infected, but it did not feel as painful as it should have. I started to reflect on myself when I got home. I knew that nothing was coincidental, and as cultivators, we need to treat everything seriously. Just like how the dentist spent a long time treating the roots of my infected wisdom tooth, I needed to do the same in finding the root cause of my attachments. Master said, in digging out the roots from Essentials for Further Advancement, quote, "I have long noticed that a few individuals do not have the heart to safeguard DAFA, but instead intend to safeguard certain things in human society. If you were an everyday person, I would have no objections. It is certainly a good thing to be a good person who safeguards human society. But now you are a cultivator. From what standpoint you view DAFA is fundamental. This is also what I want to point out to you. During your cultivation practice, I will use every means to expose all of your attachments and dig them out at the roots." Unquote. Master enlightened me, and I knew I still had time to rectify myself. I am fortunate to be a fallen DAFA practitioner, and Master is personally leading us in cultivation. I do not want to continue being diluted in the big dye vat of society. I want to fulfill my historic mission and the reason I came to this world. Time is of the essence, and I do not wish to indulge in comfort and ease. I should cultivate diligently because time is tight. I must not waste any more time. Master enlightened me many times about what I should be doing over the past few weeks. However, it took a long time for me to wake up. Master did not give up on me and kept enlightening me until I was able to dig out the roots of my attachments. I would like to end with a poem from Hong Yin. Master said in the poem Fallen Dafa from Hong Yin, quote, Fallen Dafa, Gong cultivation has a way, the heart is the path. Dafa has no bounds, hardship serves as the ferry, unquote. This poem strengthens my righteous thoughts. I am able to experience the magnificence of Dafa. Reciting this poem pushes me forward on the path of cultivation with a calm heart. Thank you, Master, for your boundless compassion. Despite my many shortcomings, Master kept enlightening me. I want to be worthy of the title Fallen Dafa Practitioner. I finally understood some principles of Dafa, and I will cultivate with a heart of determination. Thank you, Master. Fallen Dafa is good.
Thank you for listening to the Minghui Radio podcast. For more information, including news about the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China and experience-sharing stories by practitioners around the world, please visit our website at en.minghui.org.